Hello, everybody. I'm Diane Owens, and I am going to be the MC tonight. So I'm going to tell you a few things about what we're going to be doing tonight. And I want to thank you so much for coming to our Advancement Committee webinar on membership. It's membership securing our future, and that's what we need to be thinking about. I'm the chair of the Advancement Committee, and it is a national committee that maybe you really haven't heard much about. But we give some direction to the AUW board on both membership and fundraising, which includes AUW Fund, of course. So I'm also the past California state president, and most, in fact, all of our advancement committee members are either current state presidents or they are past AUW presidents of their state. So we have a committee of 15 people that are very well versed in everything AUW, and they're a very talented group. So one thing I want to tell you about before we get started is that we're going to have a question and answer period at the end of the webinar. So what I want you to do is to use the Q&A for any questions that you might have. And if you have some questions about connectivity or anything, then you can use the chat, but just use the chat for that. But the Q&A will be where we find all the questions. And I want to encourage you to write the questions as you think of them so that it'll be easy for you to, to decide who you want to ask the question of. For instance, if you want to ask a question of one of our panelists, then you would put their name there. So that they could answer the question. So the questions will be answered as they come in. So at the very end, though, at the very end. Okay, so first I want to give you a few statistics. So next slide, please. We have, as of February 2024, so just last month, we have 36,326 branch members. And that's a very important number for you to remember. The national members, we have 15,398. And we have CU, college and university members, 422, and student affiliates, 895. Now, you don't need to write all this down because we are recording this session, and so you later can go in and see these numbers if you forget. But the branch members, that's the number I want us to concentrate on tonight, because we're trying to be sure that our branches continue and that they thrive. And so that's why we're having this webinar. Next slide, please. At the end of fiscal year 23, and you remember our fiscal year ends June 30th, and so that's June 30th, 2023, we had 749 AUW branches, and we had 211 of those branches that grew their membership. And remember, this was a little challenging right after COVID. And we had an additional 71 branches that retained 100% of their members. Branches all across the United States range in size from a handful, maybe under 25, to over 280. So we're talking about very small branches and very large branches. And what we're going to be doing tonight in this webinar, any size branch will be able to gather ideas for how to make their branch so, so vibrant and so known in the community that it will help everyone. So next slide, please. First of all, I told you about all the talented members we had on the advancement committee because they're past presidents or current presidents. So I want to introduce you to one of our talented members, and that is Jan Carey. And Jan is, of course, a national committee member, and she's also the Minnesota state president. And she's also a branch member in Hibbing, Minnesota. And one thing we discovered about Jan, now we only have 6 members of our advancement committee that worked on this webinar, and they worked really hard for 2 months. I mean, really, we've been having meetings almost every day and practices and all this. And so Jan's going to introduce you to the rest of the committee, the rest of the 5 members or 6 members that are on the committee. And we discovered she's a playwright and she's also a director. So take it away, Jan.
Thanks very much, Diane, and good day and good evening to everyone out there. Yes, I'm Jan Carey, AAUW Minnesota President, and before we begin, I'd like to introduce to you the Advancement Committee membership players in order of their appearance. I will be the narrator, followed by Lisa Cherry, past Illinois State President, Deb Roney, past co-president for Pennsylvania, Jan Van Gass, past Michigan State President, Mary Smith, who is current State President for Texas, and Carol Griffith, current New York State President. So let us begin. Have you ever experienced an encounter with a potential AAUW member? You are about to watch and listen to 2 scenarios that you may or may not have experienced. Alongside these scenarios, we suggest that you have a role-playing program at an upcoming branch meeting. We've divided the scenarios by the AAUW mission-based themes of education, research, advocacy. These scenarios and others will be listed on a resource page which will be shared with all of you who attended this webinar. Tonight, we decided to offer a theme of getting to know you. We've all experienced and remembered the first time introduction, the first time walking into a meeting and not knowing anyone, or the first time as a new member you attended a second meeting. So here are 2 scenarios of getting to know you. A potential member is perusing her local newspaper community calendar, and she reads, local organization will present a program on anti-Semitism and white nationalism by Dr. Arthur Fishburne, professor of ethnic studies at our local university. The public is invited. A potential member attends the meeting. Members react to a new face. The conversation evolves.
Well, good evening. I'm Lisa, and you are?
Hi, my name is Anne.
Well, let's see, Anne, I don't seem to have your name badge here.
Oh, I didn't realize you had to register for this presentation. The newspaper announcement said the meeting is open to the public.
Oh, Anne, yes, you are correct. This meeting is definitely open to the public, so welcome. We're always pleased to see new faces at our program meetings. Well, let me go ahead and create a name badge for you.
Oh, thank you. I have to ask, though, who is the sponsor of this presentation? I don't see any signage that tells me who is sponsoring it.
Oh my goodness, you're right. We don't have any signage up tonight on display. And actually, we also usually have brochures available, and I'm sorry about that. But to your question, we are AAUW. Our mission is equity for women and girls through education, research, and advocacy. We're one of 36 AAUW branches in our state. Our membership chair is here tonight, and I'd like to introduce you to her.
Hello, Anne. Thanks for coming to our program tonight. I'm pleased that you read about the presentation and decided to come. Do you have an interest in this topic?
Well, I have a BA in sociology and history and an MA in behavioral studies. and I have been politically active with equity and inclusion issues most of my life.
What an incredible background you have. I'm very surprised that you haven't ever been a member of AAUW, especially knowing that you currently meet AAUW membership requirements. Our advocacy efforts are nationally known. Our public policy priorities are the driving force of our mission. I'd like you to meet our public policy chair. I think you have much to talk about.
And Anne, after you meet with her at the conclusion of our presentation, I hope you have time to stay and talk some more.
Oh, I'd very much like to do that. How about over a glass of Chardonnay?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Here's another getting to know you scenario. A new member returns to another branch meeting. A member name badge has not been created for her. She enters the meeting to smiles and greetings, yet no one invites her to a seat. She sees a birthday cake, gifts, decorations. The conversation evolves.
I'm looking for my name badge. I don't see it. I was told last month there would be a name badge for me at this meeting.
What is your name?
Mary, I'm Mary Smith. By the way, is there something happening at this meeting? I didn't receive any information.
Oh, Mary, I'm very sorry you didn't receive a notice. Meeting notices are sent out by email, and they're also posted on our Facebook page, and we publish them in the local newspaper's community calendar.
But I gave you my email address last month, and I wasn't told about the branch Facebook page, and I haven't started my newspaper subscription yet.
Again, I'm very sorry. Since you are a new member, we certainly should have called you and given you all the information. I'll talk to our communication and membership chairs about your contact info.
Well, what's going on about this celebration?
Oh yes, we're celebrating the birthday of our eldest member, Ellen. She's 85 years old, and she's been a branch member for 50 years and has served in numerous positions at AAUW.
Mary enters the meeting room and sees everyone huddled around Ellen. No one approaches Mary. Mary takes a seat in the back of the room. The celebration begins. Accolades abound for Ellen. There is a short business meeting. A membership report is provided, but no acknowledgement of new or returning members. Mary is beginning to feel uncomfortable and decides to quietly leave. She's almost at the exit door when someone approaches her.
Mary, where are you going? You're leaving so soon?
Yes, I have to get home.
Mary, that was my reason for leaving my first meeting early. I remember feeling so out of place that I didn't belong. But a member approached me as I was trying to quietly leave and told me she felt that way. We became great friends. We knew we were in the right place. We joined AAUW because of its mission. We knew we needed to fight for equality for women and girls. I know this birthday celebration is a bit overwhelming, but how about you and I do something celebrating of our own about why we're really here? To friendship and AAUW.
Sounds good.
Thanks very much, everyone. These scenarios were actually examples from real experiences. The scenarios may not surprise many of you, especially when an uninvited person attends an open program meeting and you have to initiate a membership requirement discussion. Perhaps you can create that scenario at an upcoming meeting before the open membership bylaw voting begins. Lisa Cherry will introduce members of branches who have used these situations to form successful strategies to address membership issues. But I believe before Lisa does so, we'll take it back to Diane for a couple of moments.
Hey, thank you very, very much. That was very, very good role playing, and we're going to share those with everybody. So we're really excited. And I know most of us can probably relate to those things happening. So I get to introduce Lisa Cherry again. She's been introduced as one of the members that worked for 2 months, maybe over 2 months, to pull this webinar off tonight. But Lisa, of course, is a member of our committee, and she also works very hard on the National Legacy Circle liaison, and she's a past president of Illinois. So she's going to bring to us now 4 branches from across the United States that are going to inspire you to do what you need to do to increase your membership and to keep your membership and have fun while you're doing it. So take it away, Lisa.
Thanks, Diane. Next slide, please. In the previous skits, we presented examples of what can go wrong. Now I have the pleasure of introducing members of branches who develop successful strategies to address membership, recruitment, and retention. The branches vary in size, and they are located all over the country. We've got also branches that are presenting strategies that focus on very different issues, but all issues that we're concerned with. For example, recruiting younger members, mission-based recruitment, and some branches may even be needing to change their structure, merging with another branch, or making other changes to stay viable. And then lastly, we're going to talk to a branch to help us out with getting started and organizing a strategy and implementing recruitment efforts. So next slide, please. I've got the pleasure of introducing a colleague on the advancement committee now, and Gloria Long. Hi, Gloria. Gloria is also the past state president for Texas. We're going to take a look at the Northeast Tarrant County, Texas approach to recruitment. Gloria has managed to capture our attention with the recruitment from her branch of 20 new members and, wait for it, lowered the average member age in her branch by 20 years. Well, you really have our attention now, Gloria. Tell us how you accomplished this.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm here this evening to discuss how my local branch has added at least 20 members from the Gen X demographic. Actually, it's how one person, Jerry Lynn, did this. Since she was unable to be with us tonight, I will be sharing her secrets. Jerry Lynn joined our branch 10 years ago. We found her contact info on the national members list, invited her to a meeting, and the rest is history. Helpful hint number 1, national members in your area already know about AAUW. Invite them to visit your branch. As the mother of a daughter who is now in college, her targets were the mothers of her daughter's friends, the teachers at her daughter's school, people at church. You get the picture. Next slide, please. Recruiting trips a la Jerry Lynn. Be persistent. Don't take no for an answer the first time unless they outright say they are not interested. Then please don't bug them again. Keep a list of who you have asked and when you asked them, and then ask again. If they're not interested now, they might be in a couple of years. Focus on our advocacy and scholarships. This age group is interested in pay equity and Title IX and reproductive health and public education. Focus on AAUW goals. Northeast Tarrant County is a 5-star branch because we are intentional about advocating for AAUW goals in our planning. Be proactive in recruiting new members who agree with our goals but need a no-guilt membership because their lives as working moms are already too busy. Let them love what they do, even if they can't currently attend. Consider inviting your young new doctor. Jerry Lynn just recruited her new gastroenterologist. Recognize communication preferences. Younger members are more into texting than email. They may not read all your newsletter, but a timely text might bring them to the next meeting. Next slide, please. Consider developing a new interest group that specifically targets the interests of the younger generation. It doesn't need to exclude the older members. See it as an opportunity for everyone to develop a new interest, but don't schedule it during working hours. When you're advertising a branch outing like a movie or a museum, don't only advertise the senior price. Once you have these members, be intentional about getting these young ladies involved in leadership positions. Getting folks involved is what keeps them in your branch. Avoid the dreaded phrase, but we've always done it this way, if they suggest something new. If this way is no longer working, it just might be time to try something new. Search for AAUW fellows who live in your area. They're younger and grateful for the help that AAUW has given them. Northeast Tarrant County invited a fellow to come speak. She lived in our area. She soon joined the branch, and now she is active as not only the branch, but our state DEI officer. On another way, Tarrant County branch, my other branch, was sought out by a fellow who moved to town to teach at the local medical school. She wanted to join the local branch in appreciation for her fellowship. She's a bit busy for our day-to-day activities, but she did provide a program for our branch, and she will do a presentation at our state conference. When the members of this group begin to bring someone new, then you know that you have success and sustainability. Are you ready to be the next Jerry Lynn for your branch? Back to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Gloria. Now we're going to travel north. And when I say north, I mean really far north. We're going to almost be in Canada. So we're traveling to Ely, Minnesota. And we're going to explore mission-based projects. Please meet Linda Sutton. Linda is the co-president of the Ely branch. And I'd love it if you'd pay attention to the population of Ely, small town, and prepared to be amazed at the huge results from mission-based programming. So successful that it catapulted the branch to local and national news coverage. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks so much for having me here to talk about a very exciting public policy initiative that our branch tackled a few years ago up here in northern Minnesota. In 2018, our branch Public Policy Committee conceived of a 2-year promotion to make Ely a 100% equal pay community. Of course, that's a major issue for AAUW, and although Minnesota is above the national average for pay equity, our own 8th congressional district was at the very bottom of the state, paying on average 76% of a white man's earnings. An article had recently appeared in one of our local papers that said women would receive equal pay if they worked harder, which made us even more resolved. And we applied for and received a $500 grant from AAUW Minnesota. So we began by talking to the Chamber of Commerce for support, and then we talked to the Rotary Club, who allowed us to use their logo along with ours, provided some monetary support, and mostly gave us credibility with business leaders. We drafted an affirmation of equal pay document and mailed it to all the businesses, nonprofits, and organizations in town, along with the return envelope to send it back. We had pretty good success getting them back, but after that seemed to kind of wind down, we started getting together in groups of 2 and visiting all the remaining businesses, mostly on foot, walking through the community. It was a lot of fun talking to business owners and discussing the issue with them, largely getting their support and signatures. To those businesses who signed, we gave them can't see it, I was gonna hold up, there we go, a window cling to display that showed their support for equal pay for equal work. And during that same campaign, we visited some of our local college classrooms and did presentations and gave out cookies and information at lunchtime. The girls got a whole cookie, but there was a bite taken out of the boys. We did the same thing at the high school, classroom presentations and cookies. And we also spoke to a community group that meets every Tuesday at noon, which is made up of about 50 to 75 folks each time. And we gave them the AAUW Simple Truth PowerPoint presentation and the cookies, same deal. Next slide, please. Since the inception of the project, we've held an unhappy hour each year for the community. Typically, it's been at a little wine bar, and women were a discount on a glass of wine, and we provided pay equity information and just had a generally good time with our community members. Other than during COVID, we've held that unhappy hour every year. This year, however, some of our younger members thought we could spice it up a little bit and make it a Dolly Parton unhappy hour pub crawl. We did, and we held that event on October 2nd, 2023. We gave everyone a passport to take to each of the locations and get a stamp. And in the passport, it had information about equal pay, and everybody had buttons to wear. Like I have some on, but you can't really see them. And each of our 4 locations had a special beverage that they had made and a Dolly Parton song playing. We even had a Dolly Parton life-size cutout for photo opportunities. And it was a huge intergenerational successful event in the community. Our whole campaign for equal pay brought huge visibility to our branch and added many members to our roster. And we found that our public policy efforts are what bring young women to our branch. Our public policy committee has been and continues to be a very committed team of talented, hardworking women who are devoted to the mission of AAUW. Our 2-year equal pay campaign should have ended on Equal Pay Day of 2020, but as we all know, the world kind of stopped right about then, which sadly set gender pay equity back further. So we waited until after the shelter-in-place orders were lifted, and then we continued to pursue a few more targeted businesses before we determined that although we couldn't claim 100%, we did pretty darn good with about 87% of our targeted businesses. We put large thank you ads in both papers, thanking the businesses for supporting equal pay for women. We also had photos in both newspapers of the mayor signing our affirmation, and we received coverage in a number of newspapers from Ely throughout the Iron Range up here and all through northern Minnesota, and received broad AAUW recognition. So the Ely branch would like to thank you very much to listening to this presentation about one of our mission-based activities. And this is a project that could easily be replicated by other branches, and we'd be happy to talk to anyone about doing so. Thanks.
Oh, Linda, thank you so much. We're going to be leaving Minnesota now, and we're going to travel east. We're going to the Empire State. And Maria is with us. Maria Ellis is the president of the Empire State New York City branch.
Thank you, Lisa.
Maria, hi. Thanks for being with us, Maria.
Absolutely.
We know that you've been through this experience of a struggling branch, and we have many, hopefully not many, but we do have some branches that are struggling across the country. And they may be in need of a new structure, some major change to secure their viability long term. The Empire branch faced this, you and your team, and you met the challenge. Please tell us how you did that.
Very good. The year 2012, the New York City branch got disbanded, and so it left a big empty space for all of us who want to promote pay equity and education for women and girls. So we decided to actually create a virtual branch. So we have been meeting with, previous New York City branch members as well as new members for a number of years now, and to a point that now we're integrated. We're hybrid. We're both virtual as well as we get together on a regular basis at the Harbor Club in Manhattan to have a glass of champagne or any other drink that people enjoy, Cosmos for me. And, we have fun and we promote the mission for AAUW. So how do we do that? Because we are a hybrid branch, we actually attract a lot of dual members as well. So that allows us to work with other branches in the area. For instance, we do a Girls for STEM conference with the Westchester branch. And that has been very, very successful during COVID. Prior to COVID, actually, we had about 250 seventh grade girls. And then during COVID, we did it via Zoom meeting. And now we, of course, are back to meetings at the College of Mount St. Vincent, which is now University of Mount St. Vincent. So that's a way that we could collaborate with other branches in the area, plus as well as getting the community involved. For instance, we could have people, a chemist from Estee Laurel, come and do a hands-on workshop on chemistry by creating perfume, developing a soap or perfume, so that the girls actually get excited about what chemistry is all about as a hands-on approach. Another way that we could reach the community is because I'm fortunate enough to have great leadership in our state, and Carol Griffin, and she's actually done great work with the colleges and universities in the area. So we reach out to them and of course let them know what are all the benefits of being a partner with AAUW, and encourage them to take advantage of that. So much so that one of the things that we have done, actually this is going to be our second annual conference, where we invite college women presidents to come via Zoom and share with us and the public what it is that, how they're working, what are some of the challenges they're facing, especially as after COVID, where, people were coming back to from doing classes online. So we work with them, and the next event that is going to take place is going to be on Thursday, April the 11th, where we have 6 different college women presidents share with us, what's working for them. And last year, what we found out that was sort of like an extra benefit was that these ladies were really very happy to be able to share with each other, the presidents of this college, to be able to share with each other, what's working and use that as a resource for them to even do better jobs at their colleges. So as you all know, our Dig Whistle is an annual event that AAUW has, very successful. I have personally attended it with some of the students, and we've actually enjoyed, even as adults, we really enjoy it because there's so much energy there. And so we have the celebration, we have the connection with the students. And one of the projects that I love the most actually is the fellows. Earlier, I think Gloria had mentioned the importance of reaching out to AUW fellows. I consider them to, if you're looking about how to improve membership and actually younger members, which is how desperately we need, is to encourage and promote the fellows. I consider that to be the low-hanging fruit, I have said before, because they are grateful girls and they really want to be part of our community. So one of the things that our Jessica Sims, who is our communications director, we created together a YouTube video where we actually interviewed a number of fellows that AUW have given fellowships for. And so they share with us the importance of AUW having been able to provide them with the funds necessary for them to graduate. So it's really, it's important because, as an example, recently one of our fellows made a presentation to another local branch in the state of New York, Poughkeepsie branch actually, and she was commenting, the fellow was commenting how some of the members had said, "Oh, that's where our money goes, that's where our contribution goes." So I'm putting a plug here for, fundraising, because this is what sustained the organization. So I thank you for the opportunity of sharing what's working with us. I hope that some of the ideas could be implemented in your branch. I'll be happy to be of assistance as a resource. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Lisa.
Oh, thanks, Maria. Thanks so much. And now, everybody stay with me because we're bi-coastal this evening, and we're going to be traveling now to Southern California. You're going to have the opportunity now to hear from the membership VP, Amy Bisick of Redlands branch.
Thank you, Lisa. Like a lot of branches, once a year, AAUW Redlands has a branch meeting specifically designed to invite and enroll new members. It's held on a Saturday morning for easy community access. I noticed someone had a question about, when you hold meetings to reach people who are of a younger generation. And of course, it's difficult to do that during the workday. So that's why we have meetings on Saturday mornings. We stimulate invites through publicity and member referrals. We create a welcoming environment, encourage one-to-one discussions about our mission activities and the fundraising efforts we use to support them. We showcase our involvement in the community, promote our popular interest groups, and engage a dynamic speaker. Now, logistically, we take reservations the month before and assign a member to each guest as a host. Each host has what I call an airport welcome sign so that their assigned guest can easily find them when they walk into that room. And each guest also receives a name badge, branch brochure, membership application, and of course, a free brunch. Next slide. So I am pleased to announce that this last October, when we had our meeting, our efforts resulted in 37 new members. To build up publicity, our members initially network in other community groups, spreading the word about our mission activities. The communication team regularly submits press releases to our local papers, highlighting our upcoming branch meetings, speakers, scholarship achievers, and fundraising efforts. And these articles are supported, of course, by postings on Facebook and LinkedIn. And in addition, we often sponsor an AAUW booth at community events like our local Juneteenth event, Earth Day event, and our book club held a Come Meet the Author event. So visibility at these events also helps us build a more diverse membership. This past summer, our branch made inroads by promoting and leveraging AAUW within the Honors Institute at one of our partner schools in order to help gain a handful of new student members. But in truth, all of these publicity efforts really just grease the recruitment wheels. Our greatest recruitment asset is, of course, our own membership. And to help them help us, we provided a short and a long version of invites, things that they could literally email out or hand out so that they could tailor their message and their invitations appropriately to their potential recruits. And for, of course, the people who contact contact us directly, I most often reach out to them back by email. I tailor my messages to each person, stressing how much fun we have bringing our mission-related activities to life, and of course, how each member's AAUW time commitment can really be very flexible. So all recruitment emails like that close with a call to action. Either join us at a branch meeting or come to an upcoming fundraiser. Really, I ask them to just come kick our tires and see what they think. But my advice about all of this is to really just not get discouraged. Persistence is key. You know, it often takes a few emails or a few outreaches before somebody takes the leap and comes to a branch meeting. But once you get them there, they're often hooked. Next slide. So how did we accomplish all this? Yes, our branch is larger, but I encourage smaller branches to consider that even doing a scaled down version of this event will give your members a sense of urgency and an actual deadline by which to refer people they know. And don't let yourself get overwhelmed. Just really put one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, and be persistent. You know, I suggest that you start with a brainstorm. Gather your key influential members and make a plan in writing, because even the process of writing things down helps create commitment from others. And what are your priorities? List and rank them in order. You know, I suggest that it's better to do a handful of things well than make a scattered effort and really to spread yourself too widely. Then find owners for each of those priority efforts. I recommend to break down your priorities into specific tasks. I've found that it's most effective to ask specific people to own specific chunks of tasks. If that's not done, it'll continue to feel overwhelming, and truly, you'll be waiting a long time for volunteers if you are just waiting for them to volunteer. So in conclusion, I'd say, in my opinion, there's really no one silver bullet for recruiting members. It's done one step at a time, one outreach at a time, one connection at a time, really one effort at a time. So on behalf of our Redlands branch, I'd like to thank you for the chance to present our story. Feel free to contact me if you'd like to talk about any of these ideas further. Thank you and best of luck. Back to you, Lisa.
I'm sure you're going to be hearing from folks, Amy. Thank you so much. Getting started and finding direction with recruiting projects can be daunting. Thanks to all of our panelists for all of the great information, best practices, tips, and even the friendly advice. Thank you so much. Let's go back to Diane.
Thanks, Lisa. And thank you so much, every branch that had a story. I loved those stories. We've heard them several times, actually, but they're great each time. And so I know you've got some questions that we hope that we can answer. So I'm going to invite everybody to turn on their videos and their mics and come back to answer questions. And we have Deb Roney, who is in the background, and she's going to be reading the questions from the chat. And there's still time to put, not chat, the Q&A, I'm sorry, put questions in the Q&A, and there's still time to do that. So now we're going to see if we can answer all of your questions. And if we can't answer, we will find out, I promise. So thank you to all the branches that were ready to share their stories. They were wonderful. They were wonderful. And I know that some of you probably wondered, why wasn't I asked? Why wasn't my branch asked? Well, we didn't know about you. So I'm going to tell you about that in a minute after we have some questions and answers. Okay, so take it away, Deb.
Thank you, Diane. Some people have already had their questions answered during the webinar, but there are some really good questions left to be addressed. The first one is addressed to everyone. Are any states doing in-person Work Smart programs? Is anyone using these programs as a recruiting tool?
I think Lisa probably should answer that.
Actually, I'm not certain that the state presidents have communicated to all of the branches, but I know that state presidents have actually been updated on the status of the salary negotiation workshops, and they're really going to be paused. We have discontinued the workshops for face-to-face encounters. They're going to be continued with CU members and those organizations that maybe are in grant status from AAUW. So the program certainly is not going away, but it is going to be narrowed down so that we're really not going to be doing face-to-face negotiation workshops at this point. And I'm sure there'll be lots more information coming out about that.
Great, thanks, Lisa. There's the next question, also addressed to anyone, but I think we might want to start with Gloria. Please talk more about when to schedule meetings that working women can attend.
That's a good question. My branch, like the Redland branch, has most of its meetings on Saturday mornings. Although twice a year we do an evening meeting because mothers of young children often have Saturday morning activities with their kids. And so if we have a couple of evening meetings a year, so sometimes it takes being creative. Not everybody is the same time doesn't work for everybody.
Great, thanks. Anybody else want to address that question?
I will
know
say
Amy's
that our
typing.
Redlands branch also has about 50% of our meetings on Tuesday nights.
Great, thank you. And I think mixing it up is a good idea. The next question, can anyone address the question of what is the most effective way to describe AAUW's distinctiveness vis-a-vis other women's organizations such as NOW and the League of Women Voters, since that comes up with prospective members?
If I may, several years ago, we had somebody on the national staff I'm going to use what he used to say, that AAUW is the Coca-Cola of women's organizations, the first and the best.
I love it. This next question is addressed to Maria. How did you persuade the college presidents to attend and participate? Maria, can you unmute?
Yes, thank you for the question. It was relatively easy. I think that with the way that we label is these are college women presidents, and it's a celebration of the work that they're doing at the college and how they're making a difference, right? So we had about 5-6 questions, and we provided them with the questions so they'll be prepared to be able to answer as to how things are working at the college, what are some of the challenges, what kinds of things would they like to see, especially during the COVID situation, how has that affected the college? And, how is Title IX and everything that is related to our mission. So they are very happy to participate, and we have 2 different panel sessions, and each section is about 45 minutes, and we have about 6 college presidents participate in an annual conference. Different presidents participate in each year, and yes, we have gotten a lot of great success. Very, very encouraging.
Excellent. Thank you, Maria. The next question, what does your physical presence at events look like? Tabling, signage, brochures? How do you attract people to come over to you?
I'll take that one. We have 6-foot table with a AAUW branded tablecloth on it. If we're outside, I will bring a easy up tent that has another just, foot-long sign with our logo on it that we can tag onto the top of that. We have a branch brochure that we hand out, but admittedly, we only hand those out to people who seem quite interested because we have a much smaller little quarter-page sheet that we hand out, two-sided, that has our mission statement, some of our interest group information on it, of course, contact information on it. Of course, we have the typical bowl of candy that anyone can come and get. And then we usually have members who are also working the crowd. So they will walk up to people and tell them if they are interested to come over to see us. So that's typically what we will do.
Those are great ideas. Thank you. The next question is addressed to everyone. How have your branches navigated the line between being a club and a mission-focused organization?
I think that's a good question. I'll start answering that, and then I think everybody will probably chime in. But you have to just start someplace in the community having these kinds of meetings so that they know that it's focused on the environment, or it's focused on voting rights, or it's focused on maybe we have some elections coming up, and so my branch always does forums, and so they know us for that. So they know that we're out there working for voting rights, and we're out there voting for everything, or getting information out that way. So that's one answer, and I bet everybody else has another.
I think we,
Go ahead, Linda.
in Ely, I think we've just found over time that most of our members are just not particularly interested in book clubs or social things. So we, excuse me, have every one of our once a month meetings where we get together on a Tuesday night once a month. We have a speaker, and it is generally going to be mission based. It's going to be, we just recently had someone from Run Vote Lead to help try to get women running for office. And we definitely have found that our younger women are, very specifically interested in public policy and just promotion of AAUW's mission and values.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll tag on to a little bit of what Linda has said on behalf of Minnesota, that in our strategic plan for Minnesota, we've really stressed collaborations with other like-minded organizations. But to single us out, helps with our driving our mission and restating it constantly to others in our collaborative efforts. Successfully, we participated in an ERA Minnesota rally last month, or in February, and it certainly helped that the fact that our Vice President of Public Policy was one of the guest speakers in the rotunda of the state capitol. So when you have that exposure of members of your own team that are there, that also helps in the collaboration process. And with League of Women Voters, I have also been trying to stress with our member branches to set up voter education presentations in high schools, so that we are getting the word out that in Minnesota, the voting laws have changed, and high school students can pre-register voter registration. So all of these partnerships and collaborations are very useful tools that we can use to promote AAUW.
Great, thanks, Jan. I'm going to combine a couple of related questions this time. The idea is, how do we gently ask our members to make meetings and groups more user-friendly for working women, especially when you have current members who are important to you, who perhaps are concerned about driving in the dark, or who have difficulty finding a venue open on a Saturday, for example?
We've been very creative about finding some fire stations that have wonderful meeting rooms that are very, very, helpful. because we've had trouble with the restaurants not having large enough meeting areas. And so just recently we have found that as Fresh Station has had a great meeting room. We had no clue that they would have a meeting room. So that's been, you know, a godsend just recently. But you have to look for those places. And then we've set up a carpool for those ladies that don't want to drive at night. And so that's been another thing that we have tried to do. There's a lot of us that don't want to drive at night. So we have a carpool that picks up the ladies so they don't want to drive. And I understand that it's difficult to see at night for some of them. So that's two of the things that we've done. But, you know, you've got to really work to find those places because they're getting, you know, less and less available.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mary, and everyone for your excellent answers, and to all of the people who attended and submitted such great questions. There are several more here that we wish we had time to answer, but we don't right now. That said, we will answer the rest of them in a follow-up email to all attendees. So I turn the program now back to Diane Owens for some final remarks.
Okay. Thank you, Deb, and thank you everybody for your good questions. And as Deb said, we will be sure that we answer all the questions that are here, and that you will get this email from us. So we appreciate that. We also, and we'll go to the last slide. Let me get this out of the way. No, the previous slide there. Right. We have started a resource list that we didn't quite finish. So we decided that we would post it online, and we will also email that to you. So we're going to keep adding to it, and we will be sure that you get that. And so here's my ask of you. I want you to send us your best practices, because I know everybody on this webinar tonight probably wishes they had been asked to participate. And so we want to hear from you. So we want to hear your best practices, and we want to know if you have some resources that you would like to share that you can send to us. And so we've made this easy for you. We've established our own email. So, and it's easy to remember too. So it is AAUW Membership Matters @gmail.com. We made it easy so we could remember it. So hopefully everybody can. So we want to be sure that we hear from you and start a conversation, so that we want to know what you're thinking about, because I consider our advancement committee to be the bridge between AUW National, our states, and our branches. So we're the bridge. So we will be sure to pass on things to National, to the AUW Board of Directors, things that we learn. And we won't learn them unless you send us an email and let us know. So let's start the collaboration and get to know each other. You know, just during this webinar, we met people from all across the country. Only 4 of them, but they really were good. And so I know you got some really good ideas. Now I want to remind you that there's a bylaws vote, and also we'll be voting on new directors for our AUW board, and it opens April 3rd. And so you'll get an email. And the bylaws vote part of it is opening up AUW to everybody that believes in equity. And we have a lot of members. All of our members believe that there should be equity for all, but we need to practice that. And so if we open up AUW and people join us that are also interested in equity for all women and all girls. So I want you to visit www.openupauw.com and learn more about it. And then also there's a webinar on the 2nd of April that you can sign up for, and then you can find out more. So just find out more about it and be sure to vote. That's the key, I think, is that we all need to vote. Remember, the suffragettes spent a lot of time making sure that women could vote. And they were out there in probably inclement weather, like is happening in the Midwest right now, probably. And they were asking us to be sure to vote. So be sure to vote, find out the answers to your questions and vote. So it is 5:01, so we came pretty close to closing our webinar. We wanted to close it at 5 o'clock. That, I'm from California. That's why I said 5 o'clock. It's actually 8 o'clock for most of you. So thank you very much for coming, and be sure to email us. Let us know what you're thinking, because it's easy to remember. AAUW membership matters at gmail.com.
And
So
this
thank
will
you
be
and good night.
Okay, Diane, this is recorded. And so if you have members in your branch that missed it, they can watch the recording.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you. Yes, it is recorded, and it'll be a few days and it'll be posted at AUW. So thank you all so much for coming. And who knows, we might do something like this again. We'll find out. Okay. Thank you all.